Yeah, I don't know. We ran out of beer, so if somebody could send some beer, that'd be great. Fortunately, it's time for another episode of the Self Isolation Station. I'm excited to be back with you all. I am Darren Brown, at DarrenFunBrown on the Twitter. Hopefully you know me from my podcast, Sound of Hockey, that I do right here in Seattle with NHL 2 Seattle's John Barr and also Andy Ide. This past week we had Scott Burnside from The Athletic, and the week before we had Assistant General Manager for NHL Seattle, Ricky Olczyk. So lots of great guests, and we're continuing to line up more and more great guests as well. So give it a listen. You can subscribe on iTunes. We'd love to get your review. It's been an interesting week. I mean, I haven't been out too much, but I did manage to sneak away to France for a day, so that was pretty cool. But I'm back, just trying to stay safe and healthy. Now, you may have noticed that I have a little bit shorter hair than before. I've been wearing hats in most of these episodes, but whatever. I took it off this time to show you that my hair is a little shorter. So you might be wondering, did he risk it and go to a barbershop? No, barbershops are still closed here in Seattle because, well, they should be. But I did manage to get an at-home haircut. And on this week's episode, I'm going to explain to you how you too can get an at-home haircut. So here it is, your tip for being legit. Now, first and foremost, you kind of need to have another person around because if you don't, I'm not really sure what you do. Fortunately for me, I do have somebody here.
My wife!
The bad news is she has no idea what she's doing when it comes to cutting hair, so that was a little scary. So step one is have a buzzer of some sort. This one is a beard trimmer, which fortunately I just had because I have a beard. You'll notice I haven't used it on my beard in a while because my beard is pretty scraggly, but it's quarantine. Step two is give your buzzer to whoever you have around the house. And step three is pray to God that they don't totally fuck it up. Fortunately for me, I don't think my wife totally fucked it up, but there were some hairy moments. Hairy is the pun there. There were some hairy moments such as this one when I looked at the picture of it and thought, oh, this is not working out well. But I gotta say, she did a decent job considering she had no idea how to do it. She'd never cut anyone's hair before, so I have to give her some significant credit. By the way, one last little tip. If you don't have a cape around the house to keep yourself clean, you can put a garbage bag over your shoulders, and that will not work at all. So that's your tip for being legit. I do want to do some hockey talk as well, because that's kind of what I do. You may notice that I have my Minnesota Wild jersey somewhere in the background here. That's because there's some big Minnesota Wild news coming down the pipeline pretty soon, which is that they're finally going to sign their touted prospect, Kirill Kaprizov, from Russia. You might be wondering, who the hell is that? And if you're one of those, then you're probably not a big Minnesota Wild fan. I get it. But we've been hearing about this guy for like 5+ years. He's been playing in the KHL. He scored the goal for the Olympic athletes of Russia to win the gold medal at the last Olympics. So he's a big deal, and he's going to be great when he gets over. There's still some question as to whether or not he's going to sign right away, but if the NHL returns this year, it's expected that he might be able to even slot in right away with Minnesota. So as a Wild fan, I'm pretty pumped about that. Let's see what happens. I also wanted to follow up on a segment that we did on this week's Sound of Hockey. And of course, that segment is everyone's favorite segment, Goalie Gear Corner! We talked about these pads, which Goalie Gear Nerd found, and apparently they were on sale actually for like $600. Sadly, I missed the boat and was not able to purchase these, although I don't know if I would have. They're pretty freaking weird. They're also several years old. These are actually Bauer reactors, and you can tell from the stitching on them that these are not a current set of pads. But whoever decided to purchase these, I can't imagine myself going into like any kind of a design conversation and being like, you know what? I want something that is so reflective, it's going to be just abhorrent to look at. Just repulsive. That's what I want. Please give me that. I don't know. Anyway, to each his own. Something that I thought was very unique that came across the internet this week. So that was this week's Goalie Gear Corner. And that wraps up this week's Self Isolation Station. I do hope that you're all staying safe, drinking your rosé. Hopefully you have beer instead of rosé, because I don't like rosé that much. But desperate times call for desperate measures, folks.